Welcome back. Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong says he is sad to hear about how J.P. Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon feels about the Clarity Act. This after Jamie Dimon told me he's going to fight it 2 weeks ago. Watch this. Are you happy with the way the Clarity Act is turning out?
No. No, because it allows them to effectively pay interest on deposits, stable coins or something like that, without the protection that they should have. And it doesn't do anything for AML BSA. It has almost no legal protections. So no, the banks will not accept it that way.
They won't
and the ABA, the small banks, the credit unions, it's not just the big guys. I'm not worried about stablecoin, but if it happened, I'm telling you, I would have nothing to do with it, and it would eventually blow up on its own. Okay, but that's my personal thing. But I do understand the concern of all the other banks. So,
well, the markup is coming. I mean, what are you going to do about it?
It is. We'll fight it. If we lose, we lose, and we'll live.
Yeah. Okay.
But it will be fought. This will not be. No one's going to bow down to this guy, okay, or that company. And but he's the only one.
Yeah.
And he's spending hundreds of millions of dollars in Washington this thing.
Okay? He said he's representing the whole industry.
Full of
Armstrong maintaining the regulatory framework he claims will be good for the banks. More than 200 crypto companies and lobbying groups are now calling on the Senate to schedule a floor vote on the key digital asset legislation. Joining me now is South Carolina Senator Tim Scott. He's the chairman of the Senate Banking Committee. Mr. Chairman, great to see you. Thank you so much for being here.
Good morning, Maria.
Obviously, people feel like the Senate's running out of time to get the Clarity Act passed before the August recess. What's your reaction to what Jamie Dimon just said and what no doubt you've been hearing from other major banks?
Well, it looks like to me that Jamie and Brian might need to see some counseling together because they're actually distracting from the actual main point. Jamie more than Brian, by the way. The fact of the matter is that even J.P. Morgan is now getting involved in stablecoins. Why? Because digital assets is a part of the future of finance. So every single industry will want to be a part of that, including banks. So what we're talking about today is how do we set the rules of the road so that we protect our consumers. Job one is making sure that consumers are protected. Job two, making it less expensive to do business in America and easier to do it 24/7. Blockchain and digital assets allows us to get there faster. It's coming, period.
Well, I mean, we were just talking with Michael Seelig, and, you know, he made the point that we need the framework in place so that the business doesn't go offshore, right? So that we don't see a lot of these crypto companies go to other countries to actually do this. You've made this legislation a priority, and I want to get your take about that. How much do you believe will come into the U.S. once we do have the Clarity Act in place? I mean, how significant is the business if, in fact, those companies don't go offshore?
Some of us estimated that the actual sector itself, the industry, is worth about $3 trillion now. I think it's going to $30 trillion in the next several years. The truth of the matter is that we can either lead in America or watch the dust from a distance. We're not going to do that. We're going to lead in America. Why? Because we're Americans. Maria, we have to make sure that we have an environment that is conducive for the brightest minds, the greatest thinkers, entrepreneurs to descend upon America to make sure that we are the economic, financial capital of the world for another generation. Frankly, what we've already seen, Maria, with stable coins is that our dollar dominance is actually increasing. More than $300 billion of more activity around the world because of stable coins. And where is the activity happening? Around the dollar, because stable coins requires dollars or U.S. Treasuries to back every single penny that you find in stablecoins. Really good news for America's dollar remaining the reserve currency of the world. And if you look into the future beyond that, single mothers like the one that raised me, people working paycheck to paycheck, democratization through digital assets will bring down the cost of transactions and speed up the time of delivery so the banks and or anyone else is not holding your money and earning interest. You'll be able to earn that interest yourself. This is good news.
And thank you for keeping the dollar as one of the big priorities for you in terms of keeping everything in place to make sure it's dominant. Look, we've got breaking news on the screen right now, Senator.
Yes.
The European Central Bank just raised interest rates. They raised rates to 2.25%. It was expected. Most people did expect a hike from the ECB. But, of course, we know next week is Kevin Warsh's first Fed meeting. What are you expecting from the new chairman of the Federal Reserve?
I think why is probably as important as what. So what we saw this last report is that inflation ticked up to 4.2%, highest in 3 years. Last month it was 3.8. The month before that was 3.3. The trend is not going in the right direction. But Maria, one of the things it signals is resiliency in our economy, which is, in fact, good news. Because of Donald Trump, we have more Americans with more money in their pockets because we returned to them or kept in place a $5 trillion tax cut, and your tax return is up 11%. So there's more money to be spent on household necessities. So we're going to have to figure out what the hedge against inflation looks like. I believe that they will keep rates where they are next week and not increase them. At least that's my prayer. I think that's how it's going to work out, because ultimately the economy is healthy, it is strong, but we still see many headwinds, many challenges coming our way. So keeping rates where they are is probably the best thing to do from my perspective.
Yeah, I mean, look, you know, the good news about the economy has something to do with obviously a lot to do with what you all have done with the One Big Beautiful Bill. And that was so evident in the earnings period that we just came off of. But it also has to do with all this enormous money moving into AI. And there's some worry about that. You know, I mean, the Senate Banking Committee set to hold a hearing today on the advantages and implications of AI and its role in the American dream. Ranking member Elizabeth Warren inviting Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang to testify, but he declined. But you've got people like Senator Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders saying we want a moratorium on AI. You've also got Scott Bessent calling an emergency meeting with the major banks saying, look, we need to get ahead of potential unpredictability from some of the AI, agentic AI part of this. So what are your thoughts on ensuring that we can, in fact, get ahead of potential bad actors when it comes to AI?
Well, one of the things I would suggest to my Democrat friends is that FEAR, the acronym, false evidence appearing real, really does worry the American people. What they need more of is confidence in what's going to happen. We know artificial intelligence is coming. The number one objective we have is to protect our consumers and make sure they don't bear the burden of higher costs in electricity or water usage. That would be bad. But President Trump, once again, is ahead of the curve. He's already put in place an executive order that says, you use it, you pay for it. Data centers. Period. Our president is working on behalf of folks who are struggling today to meet their obligations financially. Number two, we need to make sure that we protect the American worker and make sure they don't feel replaceable. How do we do that? By making sure that as production goes up, our workers are the reasons why they're being more productive. Good, hard workers plus artificial intelligence should make us more productive. That means incomes will rise and we will have a better future. There's a lot we have to untangle along the way, and today is the first of many hearings that we will have in the Banking Committee so that we can understand that. Maria, you made one really important point. Mythos, which is, I think it's from Anthropic. This is an important part of what we learned about what was possible in deceiving and disguising attacks. We're going to make sure that we understand the implications of this technology, and we're going to go into it with our eyes wide open and create a regulatory environment that is helpful for American companies, American workers, and the future of the country. The one thing we all agree upon, left and right, is that China will not lead in AI. The stack will be built on by American companies, American products, and America's vision for the future of the world, and not China's.
Yeah, and you've made that a priority, and we talk about it all the time,
Yes.
Senator, so thank you. A word on housing, because President Trump is urging the Senate to put the Senate housing bill on the floor. It was amended by the House. It got 396 votes, yes, and then he would sign it into law. Do you know the plan for that housing bill?
You know, I met yesterday, 2 days ago, with the leaders in the House of Representatives. I think we have a workable opportunity to move housing to the president's desk in the next week or so. All we need is for us to say yes. We're saying yes on our side. They can say yes on their side. The president can sign the final product, and the American people, who today, average age of a first-time home buyer, a little over 40 years old, we can see that drop precipitously. What will it take? Republicans, Democrats, House and Senate working together on the compromise that's on the table. It maintains all of the House product and most of ours. The president will be able to sign that. We need to get that job done. I'm excited about that and very optimistic that we can get it done.
All right, Senator, it's great to talk with you this morning, as always. We so appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. You're really good at what you do. God bless you.
Thank you so much. Senator Tim Scott joining us. God bless you, sir. And as we just mentioned moments ago, the European Central Bank did raise interest rates to 2.25%. First major central bank to hike rates after 7 consecutive pauses. European markets this morning are mixed. The DAX index has gone negative. As you can see earlier, we did see gains across the board here. And the ECB is also talking about the outlook for growth, for growth, raised expectations for inflation in 2026 and 2027, and cutting expectations for growth there from the ECB in Europe. Coming up, markets this morning are higher in the U.S. after a sell-off yesterday. We're off of the best levels of the morning on the heels of that interest rate hike by the ECB. The NASDAQ is still up 192. That's 0.2%. Investors anticipating that huge SpaceX IPO tomorrow. Plus, the May Producer Price Index is out in 7 minutes' time. We are on countdown mode. We'll check in with Navalier & Associates founder and chief investment officer Louis Navalier is next. You're watching Mornings with Maria live on Fox Business. Stay with us.